Everybody, happy Friday to you all. Welcome to Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the safe space where we set oppression ablaze and know that something better can, will, and must arise from the ashes. I'd like to welcome you all here to the program with me, KB. Hey, okay, so I'm sitting here frowning my face up for a couple reasons. Well, number one, I don't have the chat pulled up, so that give Auntie a couple seconds to get myself together on that front. But guys, I have expressed to y'all on numerous occasions before, at least I believe that I have, you know, I don't do girly all that well. I'm not very talented at what they would call the feminine arts. And I put my hair up in this let's call it a ponytail, and I don't know what this is doing. I don't know if this is giving me size show Bob vibes. I don't know. Could this potentially go into like a bun of some sorts? I mean, I don't know what to do, but I have to ask everyone that is out there who is feminine arts inclined, and y'all know what I mean by that, right? We talk about the arts of the hair, the nails, the makeups. Please reach out to Auntie. Reach out to your auntie over here, because Auntie is having a tiny bit of difficulty, as you all see. So I don't know. Well, I don't have a choice but to rock with this, I suppose, at this point in the game. But I just ask y'all to please be very, very reserved in your judgment. Please don't judge old folks too harshly out here. You have to be nice. Any opinions you may have had about the way I have presented myself today, if it's not nice, please keep it to yourself. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. Thank you to everyone who checked out the Patreon pre-show. From what I understand, many of you did not even know exists. What's up to Michelita? Michelita was in there live with us, and you can go on patreon.com/BIDWKB. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. What was that? I'm trying to pull up the chat, and then the thing started talking to me, so I'm very sorry if you guys had to be subjected to that. But anyway, I had a co-host for the Patreon pre-show today, so you should go to Patreon to check that out, patreon.com/BIDWKB, where we do pre-shows every single show, right? And all those songs, you can find them compiled over on Spotify, BIDWKB. We got playlists up there. I got some more playlists coming in, etc., etc. So who do we have in here? Okay, I'm in the chat. Woo! Woo! Okay, of course, Chuck Diesel's in here. Thank you, sir. Ready Revolutionary is in here. Yes, sir. Nat A is in the building. Patty P. I see you, David Silberg. I see you, Big Till. Big Till says, oh, you look cute, Kim. But see, y'all are nice to me. So I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if I can trust you. You all are very kind to my feelings, and I appreciate that deeply, deeply, deeply. At the same time, when your auntie is looking crazy, when she is walking to CVS in her house coat and house shoes, I mean, at some point, someone at least has to say something. Something must be said. But anywho, I appreciate you guys being so amazing to me as always. Fire fam, we love you guys so much. So here's the dealie. Coming up on today's program, Yesterday was January 6th. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on January 6th because y'all already know how I feel about January 6th. That shit was glorious. I'm really disappointed that COVID as a pandemic is still very much raving because I would have liked to have a January 6th party. Okay? The day that my enemies met each other in combat on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, white supremacists versus white supremacists. Come on. It doesn't get much more better than that. Come on. The white supremacists versus the cops. Oh, it was glorious. Every time, and I know, listen, save all your blue lives matter for somebody else, nigga. Every time one of them police got hit with something, every time they got punched, niggas was hitting the police with the cattle prods and shit. I'm sorry. And listen, this country is conditioning me to make me feel like I'm a bad person for laughing because the police got their ass whooped. No! The police whoop ass out here every fucking day. We can absolutely laugh when they get fucked up. And they got their ass whooped. They still crying about that shit a whole year later. I can't believe my fellow patriots would turn on me. Niggas got punched all in the face, all in the head. Oh man. So anyway, I celebrate January 6th. I don't have no objection to January 6th, but all the performance down at Capitol Hill yesterday in D.C., from Joe Biden to Nancy Pelosi to, I don't know, I think I was watching the Kelly Clarkson show, and they broke into this shit for breaking news as somebody was singing God Bless America. Nigga, I'm missing Kelly Clarkson. Put Kelly Clarkson back on TV. Nobody wanted to see this shit. Anyway, so the one thing interesting that came out of yesterday's ceremonies commemorating January 6th or whatever, has to do with the fact that the top two Democrats, well, let's say two of the top three Democrats in the country, really want the Republicans to get their shit together. And that continues to baffle me on at least a couple of levels, not all of the levels, because on some level I completely understand, yes, there is no real fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats. They all represent the oligarchs, et cetera, et cetera. I understand that. But when at least your presented political opponent doesn't actually want to win, or they don't want you to lose, and I don't quite get that. So we're going to take a listen to some comments made by y'all's president, y'all's boy, because I know y'all voted for Joe Biden. I know y'all voted for Biden-Harris. Y'all probably still got y'all Biden-Harris campaign signs in your front yard. I know it. You ain't gotta lie. You ain't got to lie. I already know. Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi made some on brand but still comments. We're going to listen to those a little bit later in the show. The main premise of today's show has to do with the fact that I am truly exhausted, as you all, by this pandemic. I'm tired of talking about COVID. I'm tired of living COVID. I'm tired of COVID. I'm tired of that bitch. I'm tired. I'm very tired. But as tired as I am, you know who's more tired? Our teachers. You know who's more tired of COVID? Our nurses, our doctors. You know who's more tired of COVID? Our frontline workers, our grocery store workers, our sanitation workers, our custodians, a whole lot of people who have had to be out here for these past 2 years are extremely tired of this. But beyond being tired, they are neglected. They are being left behind. They are being sacrificed and rendered expendable when allegedly they are supposedly essential, which they totally are essential. But the messaging that's coming from the government, and beyond messaging, the posturing, the policies that are coming from the federal government, the medical community, and the business community are all indicating that, hey, apparently, you know, we don't really need teachers and nurses and doctors and grocery store workers and baristas and people who serve us food and who clean up after us. Like, what? We're going to get into that later in the show. But I wanted to begin today's program. Hold on. Okay, we got a nice little crowd in here, 68. Shout out to everyone that's watching us on Twitch. Hello, Twitch. We need to hit a couple little bit more metrics over on Twitch. So if they, I don't know how the fuck Twitch works. Do you tag niggas over on Twitch? I don't know. Go tag niggas on Twitch. BIDWKB. over there, I believe. Say what's up to Northern Witch. Follow us over there on Twitch, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram at BIDWKB. So get on the good foot. Twitter at Burn It Down KB, and we crossed the 1,800 follower threshold over on Twitter. So I'm very excited about that. Woo, woo. I know y'all like, Kim, why you get excited over little numbers? because the numbers could be zero. Yeah, no. So we'll take the numbers. We'll take the little numbers. How about I have this be my co-host? Okay, on today's show. On today's show. Let's see. Oh, yes. So the first story that I wanted to start out with, guys, and I think, hey, what's up, Liu Kang? Come through, Liu Kang. Dave G, what's going on? What's up, Leah? Leah, I'm very happy to see you over here, Leah. Thank you so much for coming through. Tyler Hackner, love you, baby. Paul XBSOG, how you feeling, sweetheart? I hope you're feeling better. Quint Wolf, our new mates from the UK. Come on in here, Quint Wolf. Where's Vespa X? Vespa X, get your ass in here too somewhere. But interestingly enough, speaking of Quint Wolf, and I don't know if Stoner Loner is in here with us today. Hello, Latif, sweetie. Hi, Latif. Stoner Loner emails me from time to time, and Damien sends me stories. And Damien sent me a series of stories that pertain to the Colston Four. The Colston Four, guys, if you remember 2020, as the Black Lives Matter protests surrounding the deaths of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and Ahmaud Arbery really began to catch fire around the globe, UK people was all the way with the shits, all the way with the shits. Shout out to Bristol. What's up, Bristol? Bristol came out mobbing. And as everybody probably remembers, one of the most unforgettable sights of 2020 from all the global protests had to do when protesters in Bristol brought down the statue of Edward Colston. Edward Colston, noted slave trader. Trump probably has a poster of Colston on his wall. I mean, he's that kind of piece of shit, right? So the righteous sistren and brethren in Bristol dragged that nigga off of his statue pedestal and threw his ass in the river. and black peoples around the world celebrated. Yes, and our comrades turned up too. Well, they decided to charge 4 of those demonstrators with crimes. But the good news is, because I like to let you all know that we are starting the program as best as I can henceforth off with at least one good news story, the Colston Four has been acquitted by a jury of their peers. We are going to take a look really quick at a montage of clips. So this is going to be like 4 minutes and some change. So I need y'all to be patient and get comfy. Don't turn away. Excuse me. Don't turn away, because this is all going to be interesting stuff. So the clips that we're about to see are compiled. The first one is from Channel 4 in the UK, which is like they PBS. You know, take of that what you will. You know, generally I don't have a problem with PBS, but whatevs. Okay, so Channel 4 is like PBS. The second clip we're going to see is from Good Morning Britain. Britain, yes, that's exactly how to say it, Britain. And who we're going to hear from is Leanna Wen, who is one of the Colston Four. And Good Morning Britain interviewed her about her legal strategy that her barristers employed. Oh, I must have figured out, the UK's land, her barristers. I'm like, what's the barrister, the bartender? No, the lawyer. Barrister's the lawyer, Kim. Get it together. So that's the second clip. Second and third clips are going to be Leanna Wen. Third clip we're going to hear is from an organizer. Listen, I'm all British. The Black Lives Matter Bristol organizer, activist, Jen Reed. She was interviewed on Sky News about what she thought about the outcome of the trial. So as we celebrate the acquittal of the Colston Four, thank you so much, Stoner Loner, for sending us this good news story today. Let's check that out.
Side of history. We just want to say thank you to so many people, because we have never been alone in this journey. We've been so supported, and we are, we're such a small.
Oh, okay, yes, guys, hold on. Chinny's going to restart that clip. It's going to restart it. I'm going to pick up a new English accent in 2020, yes. Let me know when you're ready. Tune down. All right, cheerio.
The Colston Four, so-called, to cheers and chants from their supporters, left court today acquitted of criminal damage. And by a jury which one defence lawyer had urged to be on the right side of history.
We just want to say thank you to so many people, because we have never been alone in this journey. We've been so supported, and we're such a small part of this, really. There were so many people that day, so many people reverberating across the world in response to it.
We didn't change history, we rectified history. There's a victory for Bristol, there's a victory for racial equality, and there's a victory for anyone who wants to be on the right side of history.
The toppling of the Colston statue. It became one of the defining images of the Black Lives Matter movement, whose consequences still ripple through the city of Bristol more than 18 months on. Jurors had seen footage of Sage Willoughby, 22, placing a rope around the head of the statue memorialising the slave trader Edward Colston. It was an act of love for others, he told the court. Milo Ponsford, also in his 20s, supplied one of the ropes. He said he considered the statue a disgrace in such a multicultural city. Bringing it down was an idea mentioned the night before and overheard by Rhian Graham, who's 30. She also brought a rope, describing Bristol as a liberal city with a mass murderer venerated at its heart. And then there was Jake Skews, involved in rolling the statue 500 metres or so towards the harbour. All I cared about, he said, was how to get it in the river to stop the council putting it back up again. The prosecution had told the court that they weren't apologists for Edward Colston and his ilk, but this trial wasn't about him, it was about the actions of the defendants. Yet it was precisely the story of Edward Colston which the defence said was entirely relevant to this case. So jurors heard from the historian David Olusoga, who said that Colston had in effect been the CEO of a company responsible for enslaving more Africans than any other in British history. Another witness spoke of her enslaved ancestors and said that the statue had been profoundly shameful. A clear case of criminal damage, claimed the prosecution. The defence summed up perhaps by the remark of one lawyer: if you have a cancer like Colston festering in your city, you cut it out.
This moment is about this statue in this city at this time. And our main defences relied on the fact that all of the dissent that has gone over the past 100 years, people have been protesting, particularly around the last 30 years, and campaigning to have this statue taken down. And it's not without that legacy that, without that, we could never have a leg to stand on with this. So that's very important. The context around this particular statue is very important. And I could tell you the sort of four defences that my case personally relied on, and that was that the intention was not to damage the statue, it was to remove the statue. Then the damage that the statue got was actually proportionate in relation to prevention of crime, and those crimes are indecency, the fact that the statue is an indecent display of an oppressive, murderous man and is such an offence to so many of the population of Bristol. And it's also the prevention of crime, of misconduct in public office, where so many calls to have this statue taken down have been ignored by the council. We knew that the council had failed. And if I can, I'd really like to just add the last two defences that we relied on. And that's one, that it says on the statue that it's owned by the citizens of Bristol. Therefore, we had some sort of claim over the fate of that statue. And the fourth one is that actually the value of the statue has now increased, and therefore, can you really say that we damaged it? And Tom Wainwright, the barrister, Milo's barrister, was able to say in court that we have increased the cultural and historical value of the statue. But the thing that we weren't allowed to say in court was that actually we had an art value the statue, and pre-toppling it's worth about £6,000. Post-toppling, the valuer reckons that auction it at least £150,000, if not up to around £300,000.
Do you believe that it should have gone to court in the first place? Because from what you're suggesting, you believe that they were absolutely correct in what they did.
I just think it was a waste of the taxpayers' money. There were 10,000 people marched that day, and as obviously what we can see from video footage, there are many people who took part in toppling Colston that day. So to point out 4 people for them to stand trial for 10,000 people, it should never have happened. Justice was served yesterday, and they are not guilty, which is great news.
We would be potentially talking about a very different case had somebody been injured while that statue was toppled. Thankfully, nobody was. But if that were the case, would you still say that their actions were correct?
I think that's by the by, and it's just totally pointless question to ask. Nobody was hurt. What happened. Everybody was safe. The only person or the object that was destroyed that day was Edward Colston, who was thrown into the river, where he had thrown thousands of enslaved people into the river.
Pretty much. Shout out to Bristol activist there, Jen Reed, Guy Shaw. Yes, that afro is very legit. Jen is rocking a very legit afro right there. And I appreciate Damon sending me the story. And I wanted to say a couple of things. So we know that the toppling of statues does not necessarily change policy, but what it does is change hearts and minds. Yes, people are made to have an awareness of these symbols that are really all around us, everywhere. Every colony on this planet has symbols and statues honoring colonizers or murderers or genociders of some variety, right? And yes, things need these symbols and these items need to come down. And before I knew the ethnicity, or rather the races of the Colston Four, something in my brain told me that they had to have been white, right? Cause I tell you, I assure you, black people would have gone down for this. We got a brother who was part of the Ferguson uprising, who is doing 8 years. Isn't he doing 8 years, Guy Shaw? I can't think of the brother's name right now, but he's doing 8 years for allegedly starting a fire in a garbage can or something as innocuous and as stupid as that. They will find reasons to throw the book at black folks. So this is where the white comrades and the white John Brown Brigade, this is where y'all step it up right here. Because yeah, the Colston statue had to come down. It was the perfect moment to do so. And in another segment of that Good Morning Britain interview that Rianne was discussing her case, she said, listen, 2020 was just, the igniter, right? There had been decades of organizing in Bristol trying to get this Edward Colston statue removed. She even said that they have been trying to remove this statue for 100 years. Since she said the 1920s. Since the 1920s, they have been trying to get this Colston statue. Well, obviously not Rianne, since Rianne is 30 years old. But you understand what I'm saying, right? This was not new. But the white kids, and I'm gonna say kids generously, because I think the oldest was like 30, and the youngest, they young people, let's say that. They did what I would assume that their black comrades could not. Right? They committed these acts, legally vandalism. And I hate to even say that it's vandalism. No, because that shit needed to come down. I don't see anything vandalicious about it. And as Rianne also said in her Good Morning Britain interview, that they had the statue appraised after it was toppled, and it's now worth more than it was previously when it was standing. So I appreciate these kinds of actions. I appreciate these kinds of efforts, especially from those, our comrades, our white brothers and sisters and non-binary folks. Man, y'all already know. I'm not saying that the police don't ever shoot y'all, but not as often. I've seen white folks talk their way out of crimes on the spot, right in front of police. So I don't know what it is about the magic of whiteness, but it has minimal effects. It does not impact the police in the same way that the Negro skin tends to, right? It does not inspire the same amount of zealousness to punish fully, to the full extent of the law. So these kinds of actions are appreciated. And let me also give a shout out to the jury. This was a jury, and the jury had to have the, how do I say it? I don't know, maybe the moral compass to understand that what these folks did is to in the global arc of moral history, that what they did was not worthy of criminal punishment. They should not have been in jail. They shouldn't have to pay the fine, whatever. So I don't know what the jury composition was. I'm not sure if they released that kind of information in the UK in terms of racial composition, because we know that shit counts in the United States. I would imagine it counts in the UK as well. But regardless, we appreciate and salute the Colston Four for their actions and are very happy that they were acquitted. And I hope that they continue their organizing efforts and continue their racial justice campaigns and keep working with and alongside the Black organizers that are absolutely there in Bristol. Damien also told me that there's like an anarchist current in Bristol. Bristol sounds a little interesting. May have to check out Bristol when the world reopens up, even though some of y'all is out here like the world ain't never closed. And that's a little bit later in the show, because that's a problem. It's a huge problem. Who we got in here? Thank you. Yes, Latifah, I seen you. Oh, good. Damien is in here. Hello, Damien. Toby Swoley is in here. Ursula is in here. Ursula says, no, they don't release the demographics of the jury. Yeah. But listen. Afra says, I'm well versed in privileged white speak to evade the law, but my non-white skin tone only allows that to get so far. Yes, child. See, Afra, but see, you grew up in Black places. You know what I mean? You grew up in New York and DC. I know you've been around the world, but girl, listen, I understood, I understood, but I really didn't understand how deep and pervasive the racism is in this country until I lived in Missouri and Oklahoma, but more so Missouri. And Missouri is more racist than Oklahoma. And you guys have to believe me when I tell you that. It's so racist. Oh my God, it's so racist. But anyway. Shout out to the Colston Four. Shout out to the Colston Four jury that let the Colston Four off. And shout out to all the allies and comrades that we have over there in the UK. And thank you to Stoner Lunder for sharing the show with us. Shout out to Noli D. Noli D's in here too. Mark S. Thank you so much. Mark, I think you dropped us some coin last show and I forgot to shout you out. And I see Infinite Content in the building. Thank you, Infinite Content. Infinite Content is a repository of news information, always tagging me in the stories that they think that I need to see. What you say here, Infinite Content? Say, quick heads up. The murderers, yes, of Ahmaud Arbery all got life. 2 got life plus 20. 1 got life with the possibility of parole under the jail, bitches. Woo, woo. See y'all hoes in 2045, bitches. Maybe. Eat it. Yeah. Listen. It's a weird sort of split feeling because we are abolitionists, right? We want to end the carceral system. At the same time, when the carceral system actually works, I suppose the way it is framed as it is intended, right? Because how it is intended is to keep niggas in jail. But when the system fucks up, maybe the system made a mistake. This is a glitch in the system. What you mean 3 white men is going to jail for murdering a perfectly innocent black man? That's not how American system of justice works. That usually works the opposite, yes. So I guess we have a glitch in the system. 3 white jail, long jail stints, under the jail bitches. Again, I agree with you, Paul XPOG. Listen, yes, there is nuance. There is nuance, yes. But I do celebrate these niggas going to jail for a very long time, despite despite believing that we should open up the jails and let people out, but keep them niggas in. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing that with me, Infinite Content. I appreciate that so much. Don't be down. What do you mean you're not unabused by the verdict? Listen, exactly. Oh no, you say I'm like, duh. Yes, of course. I want us to move along to the next topic, and really, this is going to be the main crux of it. Oh, wait. Thank you so much for that, Tunde. Thank you, because I almost forgot. All right. In connection to the action that the Colston Four did, you guys, in the sense that, you know, I feel no sort of remorse or sadness or, you know, is that something that they should have done? I don't feel none of that about desecrating symbols of racism, of genocide, of colonialism, of white supremacy. Rip them bitches down, tear them bitches up, okay? So shout out to the Colston Four, but I'm not even sure how recent this video is that I'm about to show you. And this is some big auntie energy, because I'm about to show y'all one of the auntie patron saints. Her name is Jill Scott. Now, I know Jilly from Philly, back in the day, has said some goofy things, especially pertaining to Bill Cosby. She was a Cosby supporter. Maybe she has rethunk that stance. I hope she has rethunk that stance. But anywho, music-wise, Jill is the auntie patron saint. And there was a video floating around Twitter recently of Jill describing her visit to a plantation. And this is only like a snippet of the video, but Jill shares with us, let's call it a direct action. Let's call it a direct action that somebody, maybe Jill, maybe not Jill, who can really say, somebody took when they went on the tour of a plantation. Let's take a look at our girl, Jilly from Philly, 95% of the time.
And tea and have conversation and music would be played. And everybody's going, oh, no, don't touch the furniture. And we went through the dining room and all the mahogany chairs and the chandeliers and things as such that had to have, you know, candle lit. And the draperies and the carpets. And we go upstairs and we see the bedrooms and how tidy things were expected to be. And then we get back downstairs and, I forgot about the, what do you call them, slop jars? And the lady shows us a picture. And there's a bunch of pictures on the wall, and she says, noticed how no one really smiled back then. And I looked at those faces. And I decided that I was going to get away from this tour and take my own little trip. So I did. And I don't know what happened, but somebody took a long, hot piss on that dining room carpet. I bet whoever it was wishes they had more piss. They make these places into bed and breakfasts that people come from around the world to stay in. They offered me the slave quarters. Oh, it's remodeled. It's beautiful. I bet you wouldn't be going to no bed and breakfast at Auschwitz. Chew on that.
That's North Philly right there. 215. Stand up. You already know what it is. Don't play with Philly girls. Philly girls got something for you. Now listen, Jill said a mouthful right there, obviously. Now listen, I don't disagree with desecrating places that are symbols of white supremacy. If somebody pissed on the plantation dining room rug, I mean, I'm sure they got I'm sure they got people to get that now who are not slaves. And one thing that Jill said towards the end that cracked me up when she said the tour guide was like, "Oh, we have converted the slave quarters into bed and breakfast. They've been remodeled now. They're so nice." Can you fucking imagine what kind of ghoulish individual, regardless of your race, if you are a black person, white person, indigenous person, Latinx person, Asian person, why the fuck would you want to go sleep in some fucking slave quarters? I don't give a fuck how well they have remodeled and rehabbed the slave headquarters. Like, what kind of monster elects to go do that? And I'm sure all of our people who live in places where the plantations are tourist attractions, even my home state of Maryland, shit, but I ain't never been in a fucking plantation. I don't know what they do with the plantation, but apparently they just operate as if that shit was not a whole genocide factory or an entire place where people's human rights were violated for generations. Like, no big deal. And that's really emblematic, like, of this country, is it not? Like, this is what America does. America just yada yada. It's over the shit. Like, no need for the details. Listen, it's said and done. Dicho y hecho, right? It's this over and done with. And what COVID has revealed to us is that, hey, if somehow, for reasons, you and I as individuals thought we were special, no, not in the eyes of the United States, not in the eyes of our government, not in the eyes of our economy. Yes, to our family and friends in our community, yes, we are very special, okay? And everybody wants us to walk this planet for as long as we possibly can, but the government says, yes, but no. If you're not working and expending your labor for exploitation so people like Jeff Bezos can continue to roll around in his billions of dollars in his ill-fitting pants, as Molly Shaw so astutely and correctly checked that nigga on Twitter about. No, that don't apply to us, guys. And what the pandemic is continuing to reveal is that, I've said this several times, and you guys think I'm kidding, and y'all think I'm just saying this shit to be funny and cute. Nigga, we live in the dumbest planet on earth, on the whole earth. Earth. There's not a country dumber than this. And I know our UK brothers and sisters will be like, Kim, we beg to differ. No, the UK may not be doing this 100% right, but I assure you, the UK is not fucking this up at the levels that the United States is fucking this up. We continue to see record levels of infection here in the US when it comes to COVID. We had 1 million positive COVID tests in one day. In one day, 1 million people tested positive for COVID. In one day. Okay? Now, what has all of this done to us collectively as a nation? Well, I think we have different factions, do we not? We have the people who are taking every precaution, are masking up and vaccine boosted and washing hands and limiting their activities, etc. There's them. And then there's the people that are doing those things, except they're not limiting their activities. They're going out and about, right? And you know what and when I say out and about, I'm not even necessarily meaning in exclusively like a social capacity. I mean, a lot of motherfuckers, people have to go to work. Shit. A lot of these jobs is putting the press on folks to return back to the office or to resume whatever your normal working conditions or routines were pre-pandemic, right? With all you gotta do is wear your mask. Just wear your mask. You'll be fine. No! And then you got the people who are maybe vaxxed, maybe wear a mask, or they rock the mask under the chin. Like, I wish we could legally slap those people. Like, if you don't pull that motherfucking mask up over your nose in public, in this elevator, in this enclosed space, do you not know about the droplets? Have you not been paying attention over the past 2 years that this is an aerosol-borne virus with droplets? Anyway. So what we are seeing, guys, we are seeing in bad ways for the workers, but in good ways, I guess, for people like us who are ready for some of these institutions generally to fall. And the way that capitalism has to fall, I guess the lesser institutions underneath it have to fall. But to whose sacrifice, right? Who's going to be sacrificed when these institutions fall? And apparently it's going to be our frontline people. In as far as the schools go, it's going to be our teachers, because our teachers are under increasing pressure to return to the classroom, especially places where COVID is running amok, like Baltimore, Maryland, like Chicago, Illinois. And the teachers are being sent, or at least pressured, to return to the classroom under the same fucked up circumstances that they were looking at and dealing with a year ago. Improper ventilation. These schools, despite the fact that the Biden administration and the CARES Act sent schools $130 billion. We know how that process works. Slow and undeliberate as fuck, right? When the federal money gets to the states take their sweet ass time in distributing that shit. So, okay, $130 billion, I would imagine, largely has not been spent on improving HVAC systems in a lot of our schools. Maryland and Baltimore, y'all. Baltimore has some of the oldest schools in the state. Do you think they have proper ventilation in those schools? I assure you they do not. When the summer months come, some of these same schools have to close because they don't have air conditioning. And the temperatures in the classrooms get north of 85. But the remedy that the Baltimore City public school system says is to open the windows. Open the fucking windows. Open the window. Which I like to know what the temperature is today. And by the way, they did not have school today because we got some snow. Look at God. Look at God. Keeping the kids home out the COVID. Look at God. Let's get to Baltimore. Would you like to know, just in case the kids had gone to school today, because tell you what, had it not snowed, the kids would have found their asses in school today. Would you like to know what the temperature was in Baltimore, Maryland? Can y'all see that? What's that say? What's that say? 26 degrees. And that's the temperature now. Today's high in Baltimore was 34 degrees, right? So your kids are supposed to be in there bundled the fuck up trying to learn. Meanwhile, teachers are calling out sick. So, and they are not able to staff the classrooms with adequate substitutes. So a lot of these kids are getting herded into cafeterias and auditoriums, and they're not doing any learning anyway. So you might as well keep the kids fucking home so people can recover, so we can stymie the spread of this virus. But no. We have to get the economy open. We got to get the economy open. Hey, we don't care if y'all niggas die, cause we got to get the economy open, right? So that's why that's going. So I'm talking about teachers. So today I think I might rearrange the B block a tiny bit. So let me stay on Baltimore. So I think I'm gonna go with that B5 first, actually, Tunde. So on Twitter, and I'm not on Twitter a lot, but I saw something stupid on Twitter that I had to respond to because I saw it and it just really pissed me off. So part of the reason, okay, so we know that the Biden administration lacks, even though I think it was today that Biden announced he is going to send out the 500 million masks as we are now approaching year 3 of the pandemic. Thank you, federal government, you fucking lackadaisical pieces of shit. Y'all haven't sent nobody a fucking mask yet. But here we are, January of 2021. We have been dealing with this, 2022, shit, my bad. January of 22, a whole year has passed. That has slipped out of my purview. That's what happened. So here we are approaching year 3, and we maybe are about to get the first masks from our government in order to keep us safe during a pandemic. Quint Wolf just dropped us five quid. Yes, bro. And what you say there, Quint? Quint says the UK has always done the take it on the chin approach. Oh God, that sounds like a very close cousin to personal responsibility and rugged individualism. Yes, y'all be all right. Just go out there and put some testing on it. Okay, cool. Where was I? Okay. So the medical professionals. Okay, so we already know that the Biden administration for the federal government has fallen all the way down on the job. Now 2 administrations into this pandemic, right? Also, corporations represent the oligarchy that is actually in charge of this country, because when you have CEOs coming to Washington to sit down with the CDC and to sit with congressional committees and say, hey, it would really help us to make if you cut the isolation period of COVID positive people down from 10 days to 5 days, and probably within a span of about 10 days. That's exactly what the CDC came out and did when they revised isolation guidelines, right? We're going to get to that too, because, but the medical professionals are the real villains of this, because you would think that as doctors whose job firstly and foremostly is to do no harm, that you would hopefully be trying to provide the best, most informative, comprehensive guidance and information as possible for the masses to save themselves from this pandemic. But as everybody in America can be bought and sold, as can the medical professionals. And we have seen this from CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, you guys. I played that clip for y'all of Dr. Walensky from May of last year when she said, oh, if you're fully vaccinated and you want to operate indoors unmasked, that's fine, totally fine, right? So CDC can't be fucking trusted. Fauci done switched up his messaging like, oh, no, we have to cut this isolation time in half because our essential workers, we can't disrupt the economy. Bitch, you are a doctor of medicine. It is not your responsibility to worry about disrupting the economy. It is not Dr. Fauci nor Dr. Rochelle Lewinsky nor any medical professional's job to concern themselves about the economy in any way, shape, or form. Nigga, you shouldn't even be commenting on the economy. That is not your wheelhouse, Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci and Dr. Walensky. So there's another doctor of some prominence. And I think I can't remember, now that I did the Remix Morning Show, sometimes I get my shows mixed up and I don't know what I said where, but her name is Dr. Leanna Wen. She used to be the top healthcare official, public health official for the city of Baltimore. She is now a professor at George Washington University down the street. She's a columnist at the Washington Post. And she's also a medical contributor on CNN. So CNN on your resume, in my opinion, denotes that you don't really have a lot of credibility. Because guess what? CNN put any fucking body on TV and tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying, right? CNN put any motherfucking body on TV, right? As long as you're willing to toe the line, as long as you're willing to be a corporate mouthpiece and a political mouthpiece, right? And I don't mean leftist political mouthpiece. I mean Republican or Democrat mouthpiece, because they according to mainstream cable outlets like CNN, that's it. Those are the only two. If you're not a Republican or Democrat, do you even exist? Can we even see you? Are you even there? Right? So Dr. Leanna Wen on Twitter and talk crazy. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be, it's going to be B5. No, that's a lie. Tony, I'm sorry. It's going to be B4. Let me read the tweet first. Let me read the tweet that totally, that just ignited me and sent me to a small place of rage, even though, to my credit, I did not rage tweet Dr. Leanna Wen. I just said, no one took the doctor's credibility. She surrendered it willingly. Okay. So Leanna Wen, I don't know if she was live tweeting the White House COVID task force, but she was doing a thread where she was quoting some of the, people who work for the White House in the COVID capacity talking about Joe Biden is determined to keep schools open. And then someone replied to her and said something along the lines of, well, if Dr. Wen had a child who could not be vaccinated and who could not be masked, would she still be giving this same advice? And here's what Dr. Leanna Wen said. Pardon me. I have a child who is in preschool. He's too young for vaccines. He's back in school. School does not have testing, and the class is unvaccinated. For our family and for many others, daycare plus school equals essential. You do what you can to reduce the risk, but ultimately have to get on with it. You have to get on with it. You have to send your children out there in the plague. You have to get on with it and get back to work, guys. We have to get back to normal. We can't let this pandemic dictate our lives. I mean, pandemic, right? I mean, that's something that we can easily overcome, right? This is a doctor, someone who has worked as a public health official, and she is telling people to get on with it. Even if your kid is too young to be vaccinated, get on with it. Send them back to preschool because your ass has to get back to work. And Leanna Wen doubled down on this lunacy, and it's going to be B5 there Tunde. I want you guys to listen to this, and I'm gonna listen to it too because I'm gonna keep it a buck. I really saw the text of the tweet and was instantly infuriated. So I just assumed that the video is probably going to echo the text of the tweet. The text of the tweet, by the way, says, would it be ideal if all schools had daily tests and great ventilation? Sure, but that's not reality. We cannot inflict further harm to an entire generation. This is not 2020. We have vaccines and masks, and Omicron is milder. Schools must be open. So run that video, Tunde, so we can hear this goofy shit come out of her mouth directly.
Well, it certainly would help if the vast majority of students are vaccinated. We know that there is herd immunity, that when people are vaccinated, it reduces their individual risk of contracting COVID. And therefore, if all you're surrounded with are vaccinated people, then the chance of COVID propagating in that setting also decreases too. But you don't need vaccine mandates in order for schools to be low risk. If you yourself are vaccinated and you're also wearing a mask, that's a lot of layers of protection. Would it be nice if everybody were vaccinated? Sure. Would it be nice if there were great ventilation and rapid testing that's available every day? Of course, I would love to be in an environment like that as well. I'm sure everybody would for the purposes of their own work or their kids' schools. The thing is, though, we cannot keep on waiting for perfect. That's the sense that I think is getting so many parents frustrated. It's the goalpost keeps on moving. Look, Omicron is almost certainly not the last variant we're going to see. We could have surges of COVID every few months for the foreseeable future, for years to come. Are we going to close down schools every single few months just because we don't have every single tool at our disposal? We can't do that. We as a society have to decide what are the functions that are the most essential. Recognize that there's no such thing as zero risk for COVID at this point. And also that, as Professor Oster has said, there is such great risk for keeping children out of school. And that's ultimately what we have to focus on, how to get our kids in school as the number one priority.
And you're also not as just professional.
Someone just said it in the chat. You notice where Dr. Wen is making all these proclamations that we need to get the kids back in school. She appears to be at home. And for every medical professional, for every politician, for every business leader who wants to talk all the shit about people need to be back to work and kids need to be back to school, I implore you to please go step your feet in the shoes of an educator and stand your ass up in front of that classroom in front of 30 mask wearing, maybe on their face, who knows what kids, children who are in there hacking and wheezing. You don't know from COVID. You don't know if it's a common cold. You don't know if they have the flu. You fucking don't know because we don't know still about everything that this virus can do and will do. But what we do know is that it has killed over 1 million people in the United States alone. and the very casual, callous way in which Leanna Wen, by the way, and you guys, I know I keep saying this, listen to what I'm saying here. The fact that she used to be the top public health official for the city of Baltimore is meaningful because she fucking knows firsthand, specifically about the experience of Baltimore City kids, that a lot of these kids go to schools that have no ventilation. These kids literally, when it's cold, they have to sit in classrooms with their coats on and the windows up. When it's hot, they cancel school because the schools are not properly air conditioned. She knows firsthand the conditions in which the kids of Baltimore City have to endure. And the thing about it is, all of us know that those are not exclusively Baltimore problems. Those are universal problems around this country, especially in urban areas that have been neglected and are slow to gentrify, at least in the shape of upgrading the schools, right? That has not happened. The $130 billion that she touts that have been sent to public schools in the CARES Act, that shit ain't been spent, okay? And most importantly, all the guidelines that the CDC set forth, I want to say 9 or 10 months ago, about mitigating the risk for safe in-person learning, has everything to do with proper masking, social distancing, sanitation, and and in a lot of places, these things are not being met, right? And she knows that. She knows that as somebody who used to be a public health official in an urban city in which Black people's health outcomes are not the greatest, very, very not good. And she knows how many children in Baltimore are facing lead poison. I mean, just all kinds of shit. I mean, it's really disgusting to hear these people pontificate this way, as if, you know, what's wrong with y'all? If you just go get your vaccine, that should solve the problem. No, it doesn't solve the problem, because even vaccinated people are having these breakthrough infections. People are still getting sick. And for the kids who cannot get vaccinated, they can get fucking vaccinated. And your little elementary school age angel is going to go to school and wear the mask here, over here, over the head, and bring you fucking Omicron. And then what? And then what? And then your job is going to try to pressure you to bring your ass the fuck back to work. Let's kick it up to B1. And especially if you happen to work already in the medical field, in the healthcare industry, particularly if you are a frontline healthcare worker, like nurses and like doctors. And our medical staff, y'all, are being stretched to the limit. Again, can you imagine living in a country where they could give a fuck if we ever get a brand new teacher, a brand new doctor? I really feel bad for children who are of primary school age, you know, and who want to be doctors and nurses, and who want to be teachers. And they're like, oh, this is how teachers get treated? This is how we treat nurses? Oh, we just tell them to, you know, get on with it? We don't care about them. We don't care about their families. We don't care about their health and happiness. Why would I ever want to be a teacher if I'm being treated this way? Why would I ever want to be a nurse if I'm trying to save people's lives and people don't want to save their own lives? But there's no extra shit for me. Anyway, I want you guys to check out this TikTok video from TikTok user April Lynn 902. And April is apparently an ICU nurse who has tested positive for COVID. And on this TikTok video, April outlines what her job told her about returning to work and how soon she could return to work, and to give them an idea, percentage-wise, out of 100%, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Let's take a listen to April's story. ICU nurse, everybody.
So I'm a nurse and I got COVID. I have been working in the COVID ICU throughout this pandemic, and not once did I ever get COVID from work. I got it from my kids. Anyways, so I tested 5 days after I started having symptoms because I thought it was just a normal cold. And sure enough, it was positive. So I call the workability line, and the lady tells me that I need to quarantine for 10 days from the start of my symptoms. And that was 10 days ago, not from when I tested positive. So here we are, 10 days from when my symptoms started, 5 days from testing positive. The workability lady calls me today and she says, "How are you feeling? How are you doing?" So I tell her I'm sneezing constantly. I have a cough still. I'm just so tired. I get short of breath. I just don't really feel like myself. Just don't feel 100%. And then she proceeds to say, well, out of 100%, where would you put yourself? Well, ma'am, I would put myself at about 60%. I just don't really feel great. And she proceeds to say, well, are you having any fevers? I tell her no, but also I haven't really been checking them. I'm just going off of how I feel. She says, perfect. Well, you are clear to go back to work. You are good to go. Oh, okay. So back to work I can go when I'm still having all of these symptoms and I don't feel great, but I'm good to go. Oh, and it gets better. She says, make sure you don't take another test before you proceed to go back to work because it will for sure be positive. Oh, and then she says, but that's okay. As long as you're not having fevers, you're good to go. So return to work, please. And that, my friends, is where healthcare is at right now. So, I don't even know what to say.
Just marinate on that, if you guys could, for a second. This woman says she's a nurse in the ICU. She has been working the pandemic the entire time, and she did not catch COVID from work. She caught COVID from her kid when her kid got sent back to school. Tunde, if you could pop up B2 for me, guys. So, circling back to our medical professionals, shout out to the National Nurses United, the labor union representing thousands of nurses across the country. They are amongst the most radical unions, I believe, out here. National Nurses United be with the shits. And they put this out yesterday. So this is what we're talking about. Union strong, union solidarity, everybody. National leading labor organizations and unions representing the country's nurses and healthcare workers today petitioned the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit to order the Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, to issue a permanent standard that requires employers to protect healthcare workers against COVID-19. The petitioners include the National Nurses United, AFL-CIO, the American Federation of Teachers, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, as well as some of the nation's other major nursing unions, including the New York State Nurses Association, NYSNA, and the Pennsylvania Association of Nurses and Allied Professionals, PASNAP, PASNAP. The unions took this legal action after the Department of Labor failed to make permanent the emergency temporary standard on COVID-19 that took effect on June 21st, 2021. Without the protections of a permanent standard, the health and well-being of nurses and other healthcare professionals, workers, parents, and the public in general is in grave danger. I love this. I hate that this had to be done. It is great that the AFL-CIO and the National Nurses United and AFSCME and these other organizations representing healthcare workers are here to hold the government fucking accountable. Is this part of pulling Biden to the left to make him make permanent protections, OSHA protections for our healthcare workers? Why does niggas have to be made to do the right fucking thing? Don't y'all notice the right thing? Don't you have countless advisors and people there who are literally paid to come up with solutions and look at things and be like, hey, if we make this policy change, this could actually help people. But you actually would have to want to help people to even have that sort of brainstorm in that direction. So I want us to be keeping an eye on that going forward with the nurses and the medical workers and their unions holding the Department of Labor accountable, especially making sure those OSHA protections remain in place. But guys, what happens when you live in an oligarchy, right, like we do, even though when we watch mainstream cable news or even just regular news, I often hear Russia described as an oligarchy. I'm like, bitch, have you been to America? have you been to America? Do you not know that rich people run things? Rich people run things, baby, run things. And make no mistake about it, as I reported here on the show, I don't know, a couple shows ago, about the CEO of Delta Airlines came to DC in December of last year to tell the CDC and Congress, hey, you giving these people too much paid time off. Like we need to dead that. We need to dead that, like cut that in like half, maybe cut that in half. And other companies have followed suit. If we could take a look at B3 at your convenience there, Tunde, check this out. Check this out. Not that this comes as a surprise to no one, because we knew that this was going to happen. But just to be clear, Walmart cuts paid COVID leave in half as CDC isolation guidance changes. What? Okay. Okay. Let me read this. Hold on. Sorry, I had to burp. Employees will now get 1 week of paid leave instead of 2 weeks if they contract COVID or have close contact with someone who tests positive, the company said in a memo. Retailers and restaurants are navigating complex landscapes again as COVID cases surge, leading to staffing shortages at some locations. Hey, it almost be like y'all didn't know this fucking pandemic was still going on. 2 years and some change after the fact. Why is it that we live in a country that is insistent on trying to do the same stupid things over and over again and then getting confused as why aren't this stupid shit working? Bitch, because y'all tried to do this stupid shit several times already, and everyone who is most impacted, workers and parents and immunocompromised people, have been screaming their faces off like, you seriously cannot be serious right now. Like, you cannot be serious. But they are absolutely dead serious. So don't care about the teachers. Don't care about the nurses. Don't care about the Walmart workers and the like, essential workers, people who are keeping our stores open. And it's just amazing to me that we live in a country that still continues to complain that people are not wanting to work, right? And you don't really have to wonder why people are not wanting to work. Hold on, let me, did I already talk about the teachers? Okay, we talk about the nurses. Let me talk about the teachers real quick, guys, because our teachers are in bad shape in the sense that, they're being vilified by the right and the left. And I'm loath to even say the left because I do not share the left space with Joe Scarborough and Morning Joe, right? So maybe we in a different left. I'm not. Me and Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, we not on the same left. Maybe it's the other left. But anyway, cue up if you could for me today that B7 clip if you could. So the Chicago Teachers Union has been in a battle all week with CPS, Chicago Public Schools, and Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot about reopening schools. Because COVID tests, COVID positivity throughout the city of Chicago has been high. And the school system has not enacted what the teachers union believes to be are appropriate measures in order to mitigate the spread of COVID amongst students and staff, right? So the CTU said, check this out here. How about I'm sort of, shrinking it because it was like a daily saga every day this week in Chicago. Are schools going to be open in Chicago on Monday? Nope. Are they going to be open on Tuesday? Who knows? I mean, but that's how it went. But it ended up that for the majority of the week, the schools were closed. And part of the reason that schools were closed is because CTU told CPS, nigga, we ain't coming. You ain't sending us out there. No way in the world. We can do this remote learning just fine. And what Chicago Public Schools did in response was to lock the teachers out of their CPS accounts so that they could not access not only, I suppose, their lessons or whatever the tools there are for virtual learning, and I believe that they were locked out of their email accounts, because I actually saw some TikToks of some Chicago public school teachers telling their students to hit them up on social media because CPS had locked the teachers out of their accounts. So consequently, the teachers did not have the students' contact information, because I suppose it was probably in that CPS portal that the teachers were locked out of. Outrageous, right? So why the fuck was I even talking about Joe Scarborough? Well, this is why I was talking about that monkey ass nigga. It's going to be B7 Tunde. Yes, sir. So teachers are being vilified. You heard Dr. Leanna Wen say, hey, it'd be cool if all the schools were safe, but they're not. So fuck it. Just send your kid back to school and hope for the best. I don't see what the problem is. And MSNBC's Joe Scarborough, from the comfort of his isolated studio, which I'm sure is hermetically sealed, and all, the highest safety precautions are being taken for Joe Scarborough to execute his show on MSNBC. I want y'all to hear what the fuck Joe Scarborough, monkey ass, had the audacity to say about our public school teachers and about the Chicago Teachers Union. Take a listen.
If you don't want to teach, don't teach. Yeah. Quit. Just stay at home and stop teaching children, okay? Because when you set up that barrier to getting back to class, when healthcare officials say that you can still be testing positive 30 days after, well, you obviously, if that's your standard, you're either ignorant when it comes to science, or you just don't want to be in classes. And if you don't want to be in classes, that's fine. Listen, thank you for your service to our children. Now go get another job.
So in response to the union.
Oh my God. I mean, the indignation you would take that tone with teachers about shit that you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, Joe Scarborough. Well, if you don't want to trust the science, no, bitch, clearly we cannot trust the science, because the scientists are out here changing the guidelines to accommodate Walmart and Delta Airlines. Why the fuck would we trust the scientists at this point? Do they seem as though they are operating with public health at the forefront of their priorities? No. Fauci, Walensky, and this other chick, Dr. Wen, they have all said it outright and quiet sometimes. It is important that we reopen the economy. We cannot have disruptions to our way of life. That, to me, should not be the concern of a public health official. But I do appreciate that it is the concern of our public school teachers, whom not only deal with our children a lot of times in not the best circumstances overall, because public schools in the United States, everybody, are very much a catch-all. They are the place that kids have to come to eat, right? They are the place that kids have to come in order to sometimes even get immunizations, right? The American public school fulfills far too many roles because the state fails to provide a lot of things, including secure food access and housing security and healthcare, nationalized healthcare. These are all things that the United States does not provide, but yet we have the expectations of our public school teachers to be superheroes, right? Oh, never mind the active shooter drills that these teachers and kids have to endure, because again, our government fails to act when it comes to mass shootings, right? These are just things that we just have to accept, right? So I suppose teachers now just have to accept the possibility of contracting a deadly virus that they could bring home to their families, the same way they have to accept the possibility that they could be gunned down in their school, in their classroom, and that's just the new normal. This is what this is kind of all about, isn't it, guys? Like, we have to accept unnecessary mass death as the new normal, because to actually do something about it, to take action about it, would require too much money, I would imagine, and effort, right? And apparently us lessers, we are not worth that. So you heard Joe Scarborough right there. Just sound like a overprivileged piece of shit. Someone, again, who is in a work environment where I'm positive everyone is in there vaccinated. I'm sure he has outstanding health care provided by NBC Universal. And it's just really privileged to him to tell state workers, public school teachers, that you need to find a better job because clearly you don't care about the kids. Well, let me show y'all who actually doesn't care about the kids. It's going to be B8 Tunde. So the CARES Act, guys, right? The CARES Act sent billions out to the states in recovery and allegedly trying to ramp up the state's ability to handle this virus. Well, according to a piece in Block Club Chicago, Mayor Lori Lightfoot used 60% of the discretionary COVID-19 funding from the federal government on the police. What? Wait. Hold on. So you mean Mayor Lori Lightfoot knew that she was getting this money in order to help the city overall. And in one way to help the city would be to properly renovate the schools in a way that they could safely accommodate students for in-person learning. Specifically, I'm sure they mean ventilation improvements, because Chicago, like Baltimore, has a lot of old schools, okay? Let me read this directly from Block Club Chicago, which, by the way, is a good independent reporting outlet in Chicago that is not the Sun-Times, that is not the Tribune, and they do tend to cover a lot of stories that, to me, impact actual Chicagoans, okay? Let me paraphrase here. So last year, the city received about $1.2 billion from the federal government as part of the CARES Act. Of the $470 million in discretionary spending, $281.5 million. Of the $470 million in discretionary spending, $281.5 million, nearly 60%, paid for personnel costs for the Chicago Police Department, according to the Chicago Tribune. The news angered some aldermen and some activists who had said that money should have gone to rent and small business relief to communities devastated by the pandemic. Listen to this, guys. The city of Chicago got $1.2 billion from the federal government. The discretionary spending was $470 million. So of that $470 million, they gave $281.5 million to the police. Do you think they gave the schools the rest of that money? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. And let me give you guys another example. I'm gonna let y'all loose here in just a couple of minutes. So simmer down real quick, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for rocking with us here at Burn It Down with Kim Brown. We've got about a crew of 90 in here. If you have not already, please hit subscribe and hit like on the channel. We love your support. We're getting a lot of support. We have the best chat on earth. I see all my bruvs in here. My bruvs, Luke Kang, my bruv. Chuck Diesel, my bruv, and then my sisters, my good sis Tasia is in the house, Valley Girls is in the house, of course, my good sis Anna Hart and Courtney the Stallion in the house, yes, and of course Afra's in the house, yes, y'all, we have the best chat on earth, so here's where you need to be. Subscribe to Burn It Down with Kim Brown and hit like, and we appreciate it. Okay, so you heard Joe Scarborough shit on the teachers, and he's not the only one, but he's one of the loud ones. And you heard that in Chicago, that they spent most of the CARES Act money on the cops. Fuck the schools. So, but just to give you an idea of actually who does care about the kids, can you pop up B6 for me, Tunde? And Molly, if you have an opportunity, I thought there was a link in this tweet. Maybe there isn't. But can we throw the link that the Baltimore Teachers Union is using to fundraise for masks? Can we put that in the description, our show description today? So let me read you guys this tweet from the Baltimore Teachers Union. Only 24 hours in, and we've already raised $3,168 to buy high filtration masks. Another 14,895 masks have been committed. Do you have access to such masks and would like to make a donation? If so, please email. The email is info@baltu.org. So what is this, guys? What is happening here? Because Baltimore City schools are insisting upon reopening for in-person learning, and the Lord brought the snow down this week so they could not just do that. Yes, Jesus, won't he do it? Won't he do it? So the teachers and the teachers union and their members have created this fundraiser. They are trying to fundraise and get their hands on medical grade masks to give to students, because in a lot of the city schools, they don't have access to masks. And Baltimore City Public Schools is playing fast and loose with the COVID infection numbers. They have a COVID infection dashboard that allegedly lists COVID infections by school, but a lot of parents and staff of city schools are like, this shit ain't right. Like, how is it saying there's only 3 infections in this school when the whole 4th grade class is quarantined? Like, this don't make no fucking sense. So people are taking it into their own hands, as we have been seeing for a good time now, because who keep us safe? We keep us safe out here. So if you're able, in the form of actual physical masks, medical grade masks, or even in a financial donation, check out the Baltimore Teachers Union on Twitter, guys. See if you can chip them a few bucks. By the way, I think in part this fundraiser that the BTU has been undertaking, I think helped to shame Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, this young black guy who's the mayor of Baltimore, and they got his nuts in a vice up there in Baltimore. But anyway, Brandon Scott announced, I think it was yesterday, that the city has procured, I think, 85,000 medical grade masks and 100,000 rapid tests, which is good. But I'm like, is that a coincidence that you said that on the same day that the teachers union started a fundraiser to get masks in classrooms? Because maybe you might be a little bit embarrassed about that literal crowdfunding of masks to keep children safe for in-person learning, like that actually has to be done. Ghetto, baby. I mean, actually, you know what? Scratch that. We're not the ghetto. The ghetto is cool. We are the shithole country that Trump thinks that other places are. Shithole country, right here, right here. It is right here. And last but not least, gang, let me take you out just to give you an idea of how much of a shithole country you live in. Okay, I'm not going to even do a whole big segment on this. I'm just going to say it. So, like I said, yesterday was January 6th, right? And it was, oh my gosh, it was so much performance by the Democrats. They had, I think they said only 2 Republicans showed up to this ceremony that they had at the House to mark the somber occasion of January 6th. And those 2 Republicans were Liz Cheney, Wyoming congressperson, and her daddy, genocider in chief and war criminal Dick Cheney. Now, bitch, when only you can get the Cheneys to show up to your shit, maybe I don't even know why y'all invited the Cheneys in the first place, and that's part of the Democrats' whole problem right there, because the Cheneys are Republicans that Democrats can work with, and therein lies the fucking problem. 2 clips I'm gonna play for y'all from yesterday. We got these joints back to back. A clip from Joe Biden's speech, which I really don't have much comment on, because obviously, you know, I don't know if they gave Joe a little bump of coke. I don't know what they gave. I don't know what they gave Joe before they sent him out there and gave that speech, because he was fired up. He must have had a good night rest. They must have let Joe sleep until about 10. so around noon, he'd be super fresh. Yes. So the first clip is a clip from the Biden speech, and the clip is from NBC Nightly News, because y'all know I love to hate watch NBC News. Yes. I'm going to pick apart all day broadcasts. But anyway, Nancy Pelosi sat down with Lester Holt of NBC Nightly News. And I want you guys to just listen to the way, I mean, really, we all should wish that we were Republicans who had friends like Democrats, right? Because, I mean, they are supposed to be enemies, but we know they're not really enemies. But at the same time, I don't see Republicans rooting for Democrats the way that Democrats root for Republicans. Shout out to my sister Sugar on Twitter, because Sugar has restated this way more clearly and cleverly than I. but Democrats love rooting for Republicans. We can't let the Republicans fail. Who else is going to be here to stymie our agenda? Well, I guess we have to stymie ourselves, like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, but that's a whole nother story. But today, yeah, let's go ahead and run that C1 of Biden and Pelosi just lamenting, where are our friends?
Well, some courageous men and women in the Republican Party are standing against it, trying to uphold the principle of that party. Too many others are transforming that party into something else. They seem no longer to want to be the party of Lincoln, Eisenhower, Reagan, the Bushes. But whatever my other disagreements are with Republicans who support the rule of law and not the rule of a single man, I will always seek to work together with them.
I say to the Republicans, take back your party. This is not who you are. You're the grand old party. It's done so much for America, had great leadership for our country. This is a sad thing for the country, that the Republican Party would have melted down to a cult.
Paul XPSOG says, Reagan? Yes. Joe Biden gave Reagan the Bushes? Wow. Why can't y'all be more like Reagan and the Bushes? These are Republicans we could work with. Guys, Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are going to get their wish, but it's going to be a wish that they had never uttered aloud, because you want the Republican Party to be strong, to be the GOP of old. Well, that's over. But what they can do is still be strong, out-organized on issues that they know that their base will seize upon as red meat, and you guys will be able to cheer for a strong Republican Party while y'all asses are out of power, because that is exactly what's going to happen. And it is so implausible that we would hear literally two of the top 3 Democrats in the nation bemoan, where did the Republican Party of yore go? Nigga, do y'all want to win elections, or do y'all want the Republican Party to get its shit together? Because I assure you that those two things do not go together. If you want the Republican Party to get its shit together, then you must mean that you want them to become the party of power, right? Because if they're not in power and they're behaving this way, well, then you must want them to resume being in power. What you say there, Jonathan Guerrero? Jonathan Guerrero, thank you so much for your super chat. Jonathan says, blue MAGA equals red MAGA. To hell with them. Yes, to hell with them both. Absolutely, Jonathan. Thank you so much for that support and facts, y'all. So, I mean, we know that both Republicans and Democrats are basically the same. They are the same corporate-backed entities who always support the police, who always support military spending, who absolutely are not here for the betterment nor the liberation of non-white folks, and not for the liberation of poor white folks either, right? So just remember that as the Democrats are losing the House and the Senate in midterm elections later this year, that the President of the United States and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who are both Democrats, are wondering why the Republicans aren't stronger. Well, y'all may not have to wonder for much longer. Guys, that is the show. Thank you all so much for all your support. Thank you so much for showing up here with us today. If you're interested at all, you can always hit us on some super chats. We appreciate it. Or you can hit us up if you want to support us materially, that is. We are on Venmo at BIDWKB, Cash App, $BIDWKB, Patreon.com/BIDWKB is where I think you get your best bang for your buck. If you're in tight economic times, I get it. But if you support us at the $2 tier over on Patreon for an annual membership, that only costs you $20.40. $20.40 for an entire year of support. And a lot of people have signed up. I'm so very grateful. Thank you all so much, patrons. We're going to be announcing this month's AMA probably next week. Not the AMA will be next week, but we'll be announcing the AMA. And just stay tuned, guys. We've got some really cool things coming up for you on deck, especially in the month of January and February. So you guys stick around. I want to say thank you so much. Oh, Tasia, you have been so generous. Real quick, guys. I know y'all be like, Kim, stop lying. No, for real. Like, we have ordered our own merch. So this is what we going to do. See, this is how much we fuck with y'all, right? We got the merch. I'm not going to tell y'all where yet, but we are going to order the shit first to make sure it's quality, right? To see how it wash up, to see how it dry up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to hit y'all with nothing that's going to fall apart after a couple washes. We want to make sure that the merchandise that we're providing to you all is quality stuff, that you all get what you pay for. So stay tuned for that. Franny Francais. I love you, baby. Franny Francais just ran us some bucks. Franny says, because you're you and you do what you do, Kim. Oh, Friday Francais. That's so sweet. So sweet. So sweet. So thank you guys so much. Anna Hart, I love you so much. Big Teal, I love you. Valley Girls, afraid not. Afraid not. You see your lamp lamping? You see your lamp lamping? Afraid not. Yes, indeed. Courtney, love you, baby. Esther, thank you so much. Welcome. Michelita, of course. Chuck Diesel, we love you. Shirley, of course we love Shirley. And Ursula, of course we love Ursula. So guys, we'll see you back here on Tuesday. On behalf of Tunde and Molly, we appreciate y'all. Don't forget, COVID is still out here jumping on people. I don't want it to jump on you. Please, social distance, wear your medical grade mask, wash your hands, and just be careful, man. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. We love you guys. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sugar Booger.